You're listening to The Other 50%, a herstory of Hollywood. I'm Julie Harris Walker. This is the podcast where I talk to successful women in entertainment and hear their stories. Our presenting sponsor is the entertainment payroll company Extreme Reach. What you may not know about Extreme Reach is that they are already an industry disruptor in the areas of creative asset management and video ad distribution. And now they are poised to disrupt the entertainment payroll business. If you are creating content, you need them. Call them and tell them I sent you. Today I got to speak with Judy Jean Kwon. Judy is a creative multi-hyphenate. She is an actress, a comic, a writer, producer, podcaster, creator. She does all the things. Her web series, MILFriend, will be screened this Friday at 2 p.m., that's March 22nd, at the TCL Chinese 6 theaters at the Golden State Festival. She's about to tell us all about it, along with her very interesting personal story and being perfectly poised to have great success during the United Colors of Benetton advertising era. You can find us at theother50%.com for added features, photos, show notes, and the merchandise. You can also listen on Apple Podcast and all the podcast places. And I want to start making you aware of a new podcast that is launching next month. It's called Catch a Break, and it's the insider's guide to breaking into and navigating Hollywood. I'm hosting it, and it's also produced by Jeanette Volturno, Marcy Brown, Jessica Milanofi, Rick Osako, and Shirley Davis. If there's a chance you don't know those names, between them they have produced BlacKkKlansman, Get Out, all the Blumhouse films, Point Break, and the list goes on and on. This show is a series of conversations with panels made up of industry insiders and veterans where we tackle all kinds of topics, starting with things they didn't necessarily teach in film school. In addition to the conversations, we will also be giving away bonus materials, breakout sessions, videos, and samples to help round out the experience. Season 1 launches in April. Go to catchabreakpodcast.com and subscribe so you will know when it's live. All right, here's my conversation with Judy Jean Kwon. Have a listen. Do?
I'm a hyphen, right? Mm-hmm. Around nowadays, that's basically, you have to be a hyphen to do...
Everybody's a hyphen now.
Yeah, right? So, but then I've decided recently that I'm going to call myself creative because I do everything. I like to create. I like to make things.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
But you write, direct, produce.
Yeah.
You did a web series.
Yeah, I did the web series, and the thing you find out once I created it, I wrote it, I star in it, I cast it. And then you find out as you go along that you have to fill in a lot of other roles. So I ended up sound designing it. I ended up editing it.
Web designing, marketing.
Yeah, web designing. Yeah, so it's
everything.
Just all of it. Yeah, so yeah.
Let's talk about that series. What's it called?
It's called MILFriend.
I never knew how to say it.
MILFriend. It's Mother I Like to Friend.
Yes, so it's MILFriend.
MILFriend. MILFriend. Yes. And the whole reason I chose that as a title was originally it was called Hecho and Venice.
That's what?
See, my accent is so bad. It's Hecho and Venice.
Okay. That's
basically Spanish for Made in Venice.
Oh.
Because it takes place in Venice Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about kids, and it's basically about being a mom and having kids, and with having a kid, you were kind of reborn into a new set of life, world. Right? So that's why I originally called it Hecho and Venice, because it's not just about having a kid, but also you as a mom, a new
becoming
mom,
a mother.
Yeah, becoming a new person, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But everybody did exactly that. They were like, "Huh."
I need to see that written out.
Right? So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I better change that title. And
although your title's pretty good.
Yeah, I like Hecho and Venice, right?
Yeah.
But then I just get so many people just going, what is that? What is that? So then...
Well, also the current title is really good.
MILFriend? Oh,
yeah.
Thank you. So the whole reason I changed it to MILFriend was it was kind of a joke at first. And I also thought, when guys are Googling in the middle of the night, like 3 in the morning, MILF,
they'll find it.
Right?
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, right? They go MILF and then my show pops up. I was like, haha, there you go. That's what
gotcha.
You get. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Right?
Okay, tell us what it's about.
So it's about, it kind of centers around Pepper. And Pepper is a punk who's basically kind of a loner, and she's an obtuse triangle in a circular world, so she doesn't fit anywhere. Mm-hmm. And she has a really hard time getting along with other women. So like she's she's like one of those girls that's like a guy's girl.
Yeah.
She
Not a
doesn't
girl's
have
girl.
girlfriends. Yeah, she doesn't have
Is
girlfriends.
this the part you play?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So she doesn't have girlfriends, so she never gets along with them. So she avoids them. But then when she finds out she's pregnant, and she's basically like this isn't shown in the premise pilot that I shot, but the series is about when she finds out that she's knocked up now and she's kind of single. She's gonna be pretty much on her own. She's gonna need help of other moms.
Yeah.
So then now she has to go.
Go find her tribe.
Yeah, find her tribe and bridge that difference and find girlfriends.
How's that go for her?
Well, we'll see. I mean, get the show picked up and then let's go on that journey,
Okay, how many episodes do you have?
Right now is a premise pilot that's broken down into 11 mini chapter episodes. Mm-hmm. So it's like right now the premise pilot is like a season 1 web series. So it's 3 to 5 minute, about 11 of them. Mm-hmm. That makes up the premise pilot.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
So where are you in the process now? Are you trying to get distribution? Are you distributing yourself? Or how are you doing it?
Well, I'm trying to find a home for it right now. So I'm still, out there, looking.
Let's talk about your career. How did you start? First of all, you grew up in Los Angeles and Korea. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, I grew up, I was born here. I was born in LA. Mm-hmm. My past is actually very complicated.
We got time.
Yeah, okay. You need a lot of time. So I was born here, but my mom and my dad had a very rocky marriage, like from the start, mm-hmm. before I was even born. And my mom is second generation Korean American. She served in the U.S. military. My dad is a total 100% Korean, and they met here, and they got, fell in love or whatever, if you want to call it love. And then they got married and then had me, and then it never worked out. So then I was sent back to Korea to live with my grandmother.
Did both your parents stay here?
No, they were not ever together for too long. It was always like this, they had an explosive relationship. So every time they were together, it was very brief.
It was no good.
Yeah,
well, did anyone go with you to Korea, or they shipped you off?
No, they just shipped me off.
Okay. That's one way to handle it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they just shipped me off. And then I was being raised by my grandmother in Korea. And of course, they had another kid right after that. So now I have a little sister that's also had to go through the same thing. So I was being raised by my grandmother in Korea. And then when I was about 9 years old, I came back to America with my grandmother to live in LA with my dad. Mm-hmm. And I think my grandmother, when she came back here, was hoping that she was going to reunite me with my dad and my mom and then go back to Korea.
She was just going to make it all better.
Yeah, and of course that did not happen.
Yeah.
So my grandmother ended up staying here to raise me with my dad.
Is she your dad's mom or your mom's
mom? My
mom?
dad's mom. And my mom basically just took off, and I've never seen her since then. Huh. But like as far as my grandmother, it also got complicated because my grandma's also an illegal immigrant, because she just came here thinking she was gonna reunite us, and
she overstayed her visa.
Yeah, she overstayed her visa, so that became really complicated. Mm-hmm. So that's a long, giant story.
Yeah, is she still here?
No, she actually passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
5 years ago now. 4 or 5 years ago. But like even before she passed away, it was a long, contentious story of immigration courts and the U.S. not recognizing her, and then the lawyers saying that they can't do anything because my grandmother fell into this weird area where to petition a family member to be a lawful citizen or a resident in the United States, you have to be petitioned by your immediate family. Mm-hmm. That means my grandmother's mom or dad, which they're dead, right? They're not around. Or her son. And my dad passed away 10 years prior. Oh. So then there's nobody that could petition for her.
And you couldn't do it.
And I couldn't do it because I was one generation removed. So basically I was being told that she couldn't ever become legal or recognized in the United States, but then they weren't going to deport her either because she was too old.
Right.
They didn't want her dying on the plane.
Oh my God.
So
complicated.
Yeah. So my grandmother died as an illegal immigrant, and then it just became really, really complicated.
Yeah. As she's raising an American.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. All right. So you'll write all that and make a movie about it sometime. Okay. So how did you get into entertainment in the first place? Did you start as a model?
I started actually as an actress because my dad actually owned a video store here in Koreatown. And the video store has Korean videos and American videos, all the movies. So like I just grew up in that environment.
Yeah.
Like I was in the back of the store illegally dubbing all the I was the 10-year-old kid illegally dubbing all the videos, right?
Making extra copies.
Yeah, you're supposed to make extra copies. You're supposed to do that, right? So I grew up in movies, and like when it was time for me to like try to figure out what am I gonna do with my life, I'm like, okay, the only thing I really know is movies. I know movies. So, and then I was also a musician at the time because I played cello, and I was like, I thought I was gonna be a musician, and then I saw. Okay, this is a long ass story, but okay, I saw this ad. I was going through the backstage. Do you remember when they had backstage in newspaper form?
Yeah.
So I was going through
newspaper, boys and
yeah,
girls?
exactly, right. So I was going through the ads, and I saw a big ad that said New York acting teacher. And I thought my mom was in New York at the time, so I was like, oh, I want to go to New York for some reason. And then I just picked up the phone and called this guy. And he's like, oh, come down, audit the class. And then that was it? Yeah, that was it. And then I just got into acting.
Were you like, this is my thing?
Yeah. And I was 17 at the time. Yeah, and then it was, a form of creative outlet, So yeah, it was good. And then, that's how I started.
So did you start working as an actor?
I actually didn't go out and try to pursue it as a career until I studied for about 4.5 years. So I was like good in my early 20s when I was like, okay, now it's time to start going out. And when I actually decided to make that change and go look for an agent and stuff, I started working right away. Like immediately.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty much immediately.
Commercials, TV?
Yeah, commercials. I've done probably about 100 commercials.
Wow.
Yeah, I got, like that first year that I started, I got into one of the biggest ads, which was when flat TV was first coming out. We're dating ourselves here, right? So I did the first flat TV commercial, which was a Philips flat TV commercial. And I guess it was very well revered. It was shot by Tarsem. Tarsem, the director that did The Cell with Jennifer Lopez. And
yes.
Yeah. So, and I guess I beat out over 300 Caucasian actresses.
Wow.
So I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. And,
amazing.
And then my whole, because I always knew like the Asians were not working as much. So my modus operandi was never to take jobs from other Asian actresses, but to take jobs from other Caucasian actresses. So then when that happened, I was like, yes, Yeah, so then like I had a whole run doing commercial advertising and creating kind of because before I came into the picture, it was, do you remember like it was all blondes and like they were all Barbie dolls, and I came in right when advertising was changing more to real people.
When it was United Colors of Benetton?
Yeah, that's when I came in, yeah. So then like it was kind of, I guess, cool to do that,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean.
Well, then there's probably in every group of people, there was a white person, a black person, an Asian person.
The token Asian, yeah. So I was the token Asian.
You were always the token Asian.
Yeah. And then also I've kind of changed the image of Asians in a sense that before it was like that fresh off the boat, or like you're like this immigrant Asian, but I came in with this short hair and these glasses and with an attitude. So I was like the American kind of with an attitude Asian, and I thought, I'm like opening doors for Asians. I was like, I'm changing, I'm getting rid of the stereotype. And then now when I look back, I'm like, no, I didn't get rid of the stereotype. What I did was I created a new stereotype, which is Asians are smart and tech.
Yeah. And you opened the door for Aquafina.
Yeah, right? For all the smart Asian Americans, right? So, yeah.
That's great. So at what point did you start thinking, I'm going to create my own work?
Well, I've been writing on and off for a while, and I wrote about about my past, about my dad and all that stuff, and that was because I guess your first draft, you're always writing about some heavy shit in your life, right?
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, this is so heavy. It's just bogging me down. Like you just don't even want to go and rewrite it. And it's all about rewriting, right? So I'm like, okay, let me just do something totally different. And as an exercise, I just wrote whatever the F I wanted to write and what I wanted to see. And I was just like, I'm just going to write it and see what happens. And then I wrote it. And I guess also I'm lucky that my husband is a DP.
That helps.
Yeah. So then I was... every time I would write a draft, I would read it for him. And so we originally decided that we were going to do just a little promo on it. And then but once we started casting it was like a train that was on its own.
Like
you couldn't stop
shoot
it.
This thing.
Yeah, you couldn't stop it. Because it's an ensemble, the piece is an ensemble. So there's like a cast of 20 plus. So by the time you cast all that, it was basically like the show's cast.
You might as well do it.
Yeah. So
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so somewhere along the line, you got married, you had a baby.
Yes.
And then I'm assuming did that influence this
Well,
piece?
that's, yeah. Well, basically, you're supposed to write about stuff that you know.
Yeah.
And I won't say it's 100% based on my life because I think this character's a little more, I like to push them to the boundary of like almost extreme caricatures. So it's not 100% like, realistic, but it's based on some, I guess, personal knowledge.
How did you find the whole, like having a baby in LA and finding your people? How'd you find that process?
Well, that's what I'm writing about. That's what the show's about.
Like, so watch it.
Yeah.
That'll be how it is.
Well, it's very, I think, because I see all these shows and they don't really talk about, LA, the mom life in LA is very specific and it's very different. It's very unique. And especially...
And it's specific by neighborhood.
By neighborhood. And I'm doing a specific about Venice. And if you know about Venice Beach in the last, I want to say 5-6 years, it's the gentrification has like just sped up. Snapchat, Google, all the techs moved in.
They're all there.
Yeah, and like it went from mom and pop coffee shops to Starbucks coming in, and then all of a sudden now we're like, $10 coffees.
Right.
And this is only in the last like 6 years or so, right? I don't know, maybe I'm like my time is a little off because like the older I get, it seems like everything seems shorter, right?
5 years, 30 years, we don't know.
Exactly, right? And then the Tesla's driving around. So I'm like, oh my God, like I gotta like write about this. This is, and then especially on top of it being a mom, I just think a lot of women go a little crazier than normal because like now like you're heightened by having this kid and I don't know what it is.
You have to do it perfect.
Yeah. So I just felt like there was a lot of comedy in that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, there is. I'm glad you're putting it on paper and then on screen.
Oh, thank you. But I grew up on the east side here, so then like being plucked from the east side like to the west side, it's just so I feel foreign a lot.
Yeah, it is a whole different culture.
It's so different. It's so different.
It is such a funny thing. This is a funny city.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to know, what do you make of the climate of the country right now? First, let's talk about like what has happened with women the last couple of years. What do you make of that?
God, I mean, with the Me Too movement and all the stuff that's going on, right? So the thing is, my project, like I started writing this before the Me Too, before Time's Up and all that stuff, and actually finished and shot the produced, and it was all in the can before the Me Too movement and Time's Up came up, and when you watch the show, you'll see it's very much in line with the whole Me Too and the Times Up because I was also fed up. So then I started writing this and I shot this, and then I'm like, oh my God, and then now the movement is happening, right?
Like perfect timing.
Well, perfect timing, but also at the same time, I just feel like people nowadays, they're so like hypersensitive, like they can't tolerate and accept each other for their differences of opinions.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I didn't want to do a show that was ignoring what was going on and what is important and like what is current. And I feel like as women, like people don't want you to have opinions and people want you to talk about nothing. And I don't want to talk about nothing, It's
a lot of work to talk about nothing for a long time.
So I mean, I talk about it and I touch upon it, but I felt like the way I'm doing it is in laughter and jest. And yes, maybe I am somehow making fun of certain situations and even groups of people, but I'm making fun of everybody. So I don't understand if one group wants to get offended, but I'm like, wait a minute, but I'm making fun of everything.
But that's your job as an artist
and
to tell
it's comedy.
your story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and comedy is how you get them.
And it's comedy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, unless you want me to make fun of the blue sky.
So everyone calm down.
All right. Oh, of course, somebody's going to get upset, though, that I'm making fun of the blue sky.
Of course. You can't win for trying.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Have you ever done any stand-up?
I do stand-up.
Okay, let's talk about that. I thought you had, but I scramble things so much, I always ask people the wrong questions. Tell us about being a stand-up.
Well, stand-up is fun. Stand-up is fun. It's very different from being an actor, because as an actor, you have to get somebody else's dialogue and you have to make it your own and, all that good stuff. Versus like stand-up, you could make it, you're saying what you want to say kind of thing. And it's fun. It's fun to do it live and have people like laugh at you or laugh with you, or sometimes laugh at you. I've had heckled. I've been heckled, and I'm like, okay, wow, I didn't know it was that upsetting.
How do you handle hecklers?
Well, I mean, I did a joke. Oh my God. Okay, so I did a joke about circumcision. Okay, and for me, like, I thought that was not a hot topic subject because it's not political. So I was like, oh, okay, let me do. Yeah, of course I realized after the fact. But then I wanted to, the whole reason I made this joke about circumcision or like anti-circumcision or whatever it is, like I made a joke about uncircumcised penises. And the whole reason why I chose to do that was because I felt like men, and especially in the comedy circuit, it's mostly men. And it just in media, they're always making fun of women and objectifying women's body parts, our boobs, sagging, our,
faces,
down there,
hair,
all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm like, fine. So then what can I do to flip this and objectify men? I mean, the small penis has been done so many times. That's boring. Nobody freaking cares. I don't care about small penis jokes anymore, like nobody does, And what am I going to do? Talk about their beer belly, which is just like whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let me talk about something that they will, it's equivalent to what they're doing to us. So I'm going to talk about their privates, which is what they make fun of our privates, So let me talk about circumcised penises and uncircumcised penises. And I kind of expected a lot of men to kind of get upset about it.
Yeah.
And, I got heckled really bad by a man, like just getting really upset and really angry. He's like, oh, are you gonna like pay for my circumcision? And I'm like, what? Are you gonna pay for my boob job? Shut the fuck up. Excuse my French, but
Sit down, sir.
Yeah, right? But like, yeah, so then I did expect that, but then the part that I didn't expect was I got a lot of women that got upset. A lot of women.
On behalf of men?
Yeah. On behalf of men and women that were upset. I don't know if it was their personal thing that they either circumcised their kid or didn't circumcise their kid.
Yeah.
So like all these women were like grandmothers calling me names, and I was like, wow, that is just so bizarre. I'm like, really? I didn't know you were that attached to foreskin.
People are invested in the
yes,
penis.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, you don't even know that you're kind of shooting your own self in the foot, because this joke was to, show men how we feel about being objectified, but then you're being crazy. So I'm like, well, that is just so bizarre.
So it kind of made your point.
Yeah,
and
right?
Yeah, wow.
Right?
Surprising.
Yeah, that's where I was surprised.
Okay, so is it like, I want to ask you this in every avenue that you've been working in. In which arena have you felt the most obstacles as a woman, as an Asian woman? Like, has comedy been the hardest?
No, well, comedy isn't so far. Well, because first off, I'm not out there like trying to, I'm not knocking on doors right now. I'm just going and doing my own stuff. I'm doing my open mics and I'm doing shows like in venues. So so I'm not in the big market. So I don't know what that's like. So comedy is actually, to me, the stand-up comedy is you have your own power to go and do your work. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even if it's open mic or whatever small venues you're doing, you're able to make your own piece and go out and say it and do it, and then there's an audience there.
It's all you, and you have
Yeah,
all the
it's
power.
all you. Yeah. So then I feel like with stand-up comedy, it's a great thing because nobody could categorize you into anything. Nobody could, it's just you have all this freedom. So I to me, stand-up comedy is actually empowering. But I find that with acting, that's where, and even with my show, I mean, I don't know where it's gonna go yet. I mean, I'm still looking for a home, but I feel like once you start knocking on doors of like big money, then that's where things are not so, because like
They have a lot of things to say.
they have not even that. It's just that they want to see you a certain way, and they get upset if you're not acting and doing the certain way. Do you know what I mean? I'm an Asian woman, not just. I mean, I guess if I was Kathy Griffin and white woman, it might be like expected of me or something like that. But being an Asian woman, it's even worse. I feel because they have this idea that Asian woman is very polite and nice, which I'm not.
You're going against stereotype.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
freaks everyone out.
Yeah, and then they are puzzled by it. I think they're puzzled by it.
Like, I don't really know how to put you in a box.
Exactly. And then I feel, especially with big money, they do want to always put you in a certain box, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we'll see when we pass that bridge.
Why is it important that we have all the representation on the screen? Why does
Well,
it matter?
see, I'm not just for all the representations. To me, that's not good enough. Because then this is just like me doing all that modeling and the freaking Banana Republics and all that stuff, right? Where, okay, you could have representation of me as an Asian token, but really, do you have to have the Asian token in the background saying one line? Or like the Asian token that is a girl, like a friend to the lead Caucasian women who is, the story is basically about them. So you're just the sideline.
Well, it's about their boyfriend.
Yeah, right. It's about their boyfriend. But even if it's like all these years doing it, it's being in Hollywood, you're always telling the lead person's story. And the lead person always happens to be Caucasian because most of Hollywood is Caucasian. So that's the story that they know. So that's the story that they tell. So I'm like, no, representation's not good enough. I want to hear narratives of the other point of views.
So what do you call that?
I call it the other point of view. Let's hear some stories from the other point of view. Because, you could put a group of people in one room and they all have the same experience, but they all have different point of views, right? Okay, we've already heard enough point of view from this one side. Can we, show the point of views from these other sides?
Can we turn the camera around?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. And I'll just think that also the world is craving for it because now it's not just the American market, it's an international market. And I think I personally want to see more other stories.
Yeah.
And I just think that is the future.
And how do you think we get there? Because it seems like it's proven over and over and over again. And last year was a great year for proving it, right?
Yeah. How do we get there? I'm very opinionated, so I could tell you how to get there, but it's not going to happen in my lifetime. Let me tell you that. We could just move the needle forward, but it's probably not going to happen in my lifetime. And I'm okay with it. It is what it is. I'm not going to change the world or life as it is.
That's so funny. I feel the same way. Like,
right?
we move the needle as far as we can move it.
Yeah, that's all you can do, right?
Okay, so what's your plan?
Okay, well, it's not my plan. I have the answer, but people are not going to do it.
Well, let's start with, what's the answer?
The answer, how do we get there? By putting more people of color and women in power positions. By putting people of color and women as creators and writers. Well, that would actually solve a lot of problems, right?
Yeah.
And putting women and people of color in positions to greenlight projects and to give funding. That would be the answer. Is it going to happen in my lifetime? Probably not, because the thing is also, I understand that a lot of, I was just on a Facebook thing yesterday and in the industry, and I know some women are really pissed off at men and the, powers that be, it's mostly white men that are like running everything, and they're kind of pissed off. And I don't know if you had a chance to look at my show. I do a whole rant as a clown about the white man, but really it's not about, to me, it's not about ostracizing them, because I totally get it if I was in their feet, because you know what I mean? They have it cush. So why are they going to give it up? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, and I think not all those men want to keep the women or the minorities out. It's just that, it's hard enough for them,
Do they have to give it up to open a door?
They don't have to 100% give it up. I don't know exactly. I guess I'm not in that. I guess everybody's situation is different. It depends what company you're working for and how it is. Yeah, maybe you do have to fire a couple of them, but no.
You two out.
Yeah, you two out. I'm going to replace you. No, but then also it's just, I guess, opening doors and giving women and people of color opportunities, but not bullshit opportunities. Because I've also noticed like this new wave right now going on that people are opening, we're going to open this, department specifically to, but I kind of know in the back of my head, those are bullshit departments. There's no money behind it. So it's all just insane.
You mean like
and for show. Yeah, exactly. It's like kind of all for show. No, put money behind it.
Yeah.
Don't just say that you're opening a diversity department. Put some money and give the people of color and women and all these people that have voices, give them the chance to freaking make projects. Hire them. Not just hire them, but give them money. Give them funding.
Yeah. Okay, it's all about the money.
It is all about the money, because you can't make anything without money. How are you going to create a show without paying anybody?
Well, you guys all go do it for free, and then once we like it, we'll give you a little money.
Yeah, and then also, like, I know people are starting the conversations right now, so that there's all these panels. Did you notice the explosion of panels?
Oh, you can go to a panel every day.
Yeah, but I'm like, I don't need panels. I need money.
Well, maybe you're a couple steps ahead of people.
Let's all learn by doing it. Give us money. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these men that had the opportunity didn't have to go to panels. They were given the opportunity.
Yeah, they just got the job.
Yeah, so why do they have to make us constantly prove ourselves? I feel like they're like putting us in a cage, like a hamster cage. Oh, keep proving yourself. But we're not going to give you any money to actually do it.
Yeah.
But, we'll take an example and we'll take a couple of you guys out and give you the opportunity, but the rest of you guys just keep chasing yourself in this hamster wheel. I'm going to get in so much trouble.
Now I'm depressed. I'm
going to get in so much trouble.
Well, you're not wrong. It's the same. I think it's the same in corporations. Like the women always need like more training and more development, and more mentoring, and the men just get the promotion.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. And a lot of women also, they apologize a lot. They are always, I'm sorry. For what?
Taking up space.
Yeah,
breathing.
exactly, for breathing.
Yeah, we all have to stop apologizing. Knock it off.
Right? Just give us some money. We could do it.
That's the bottom line.
Did you know that in South Korea, we have one of the biggest film industries. We have one of the most popular, K-pop and all the, the Korean dramas. It's the widely watched. It's, all over Asia. It's the biggest freaking grossing film industry in Korea, right? Did you know that, like, I don't have the exact percentage, but a high percentage. I want to say, like, close to 90% of the writers in Korea are women.
Really?
So when you watch the stories, the Korean dramas, it's the way they tell their stories totally different from how American cinema here tells stories.
Because women are
writing. It's night and day. Yeah.
And can you describe what the difference is?
I've noticed that with the Korean dramas, they go more in depth of human relationships, emotions. They go into, it's not black and white. There's a lot of colors to the characters, and the story is like, it's so intriguing. Once you start watching a Korean drama, you cannot shut that off.
I have heard that.
Right? I've literally stayed up for like a week getting like 1 hour sleep every night just so that I could like get to the end of a show. And they go for hours, like 200 hours, that kind of stuff, right? That's how good the writing is in Korea. Like it's so addictive. American, this more Western way of storytelling is very black and white. Who's evil? Who's good? Who, you know, it's very male oriented.
It's the hero's journey.
And it's a very specific formula. Like you just kind of know it's a beginning, middle, and end. You could kind of almost predict it, right?
Every time.
Yeah, every time. So it's almost like yin and yang. It's like the Western way of storytelling is very masculine. You know how guys are. You know, they're like wham bam, thank you ma'am. You know, and then the Korean way, like the Asian but Korean, because I watch a lot of Korean stuff. Way of storytelling is very feminine. It doesn't. You don't know where it's gonna go next. You know, you get into each character's psyche. I mean, like take for example, there was a Korean drama that I watched about this husband who was cheating on his wife of like, I don't know, they've been married for like 20 years, something crazy like that. So it was like towards the end and he started cheating on her with some young woman. You know, that's like the typical kind of story that you would see here, except, so in the beginning, you like hate this guy and he's like she's like trying to fight for him. She's trying to get him back and you know, and he's like being a major jerk and you're like, oh, I hate this guy. But then guess what? Like, I don't know, I want to say maybe 10th episode in, you find out she has cancer. And she's dying. It's like, you know, she's gonna die. It's not like a cancer that she's gonna come out of.
Yeah.
And then he flips. He changes from this asshole guy to, oh my God, I always loved her. She's my wife. Even though I wanted to move on and I was going through this period in my life, I'm invested with this woman. I have a past with her. I have a history with her. So he goes through this whole journey trying to save her. Like he gives up everything. Like he's going to like witch doctors and doing all this stuff trying to save her. And at the end of that show, guess what? You love this guy. You're like, oh my God, this guy was like going through this period where he wants to do that typical male thing that
he was having a midlife crisis.
Yeah. But then like, and then this thing happened and then, you know, you're like, oh my goodness. But that story would like never be. Yeah, like life. That story would never be, had the opportunity over here.
No, because you're unredeemable once you do something awful.
Yeah, but you know, this guy starts off as a major jerk. Like you hate him. Like you want to like, you know, slap him. But at the end, you love him.
Wow.
You love him. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, there's a typical story there of Korean storytelling.
Yeah.
You don't know which direction it's going. Yeah, and right now, actually, there's a great Korean movie that's out with Steven Yeun from The Walking Dead. It's called Burning. And that director is amazing director. He's done a handful of really amazing, like, I want to say he's a master of storytelling. And even in The Burning, I want to say first, is it 30 minutes? It's like nothing's happening, or you think nothing's happening. That would never fly here. But without that first 30 minutes of nothing happening, it would not make the rest of the movie.
It's setting it up.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a long time.
What an amazing movie. Yeah, it's a masterpiece. It's so good.
Now, did you direct your series?
I directed one episode, but Richard, my other half, he directed and he shot and also produced and helped cast and all that stuff too. So it's a mutual, you know, working with.
It's a family business.
Yes, yes.
Do you want to direct more?
You know what? Like I said, I'm a creative. I like to create stuff. I like to make stuff.
That just encompasses everything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would love to direct if, you know, somebody, you know, was like, hey, you want to come? Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Why not? I mean, no, I don't.
No, I don't do that. Thank you.
No, I don't think so.
So what is next for you?
Well, for me is to get this out, find a home for it, which is going to be another probably several more months of just, you know, grinding, right? And then I was telling you about my podcast, America Redefined, about immigrants.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so I started this podcast called America Redefined, which is about immigrants from the immigrants' perspective. And
timely.
Yeah, and I started this actually before this MILFriend, and I have like a half a dozen episodes out right now. And once the MILFriend got a hold of me, then I just don't have the time and brain space to follow through with it. So once I'm at a place where I could let MILFriend just do its own thing, I want to go back and revisit America Redefined and
But you have
continue
6 episodes out.
I have 6 episodes out. I want to
So people
say
can find that on Apple Podcasts and,
Yes.
and all the podcast places, as we say.
Well, I it's on Apple for sure and Spotify, but I don't know if all those. I need
We'll see
a
if it's
producer,
other places.
right? I need a producer to come on board.
It's always
and
a
do that.
surprise when they show up on other apps. I'm like, oh, it's on the, how'd they get it? It's magic. Once you put podcasts out, I don't know.
It's in the podcast magic world.
It is. It's magic.
Probably the same thing with MILFriend. Once I get that out, it's probably going to just appear and then,
Show up places.
show up on
But
places.
that you'll then have to chase down to get the money.
Oh, yeah.
If it shows up places.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for young women just starting out?
Depending on can you be more specific as far as starting out on?
Starting out trying to get into the entertainment industry. Is that specific?
Well, for me, it's like do your own stuff. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. Like for me, like I said earlier, I don't know if the entertainment industry is gonna get to the point that I wish it was like all fair and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And who knows? Maybe it's never meant to do that. It is an entertainment business after all. So
Yeah.
there's also money side, and so then it makes it all complicated. But as an artist, you should just be focused on doing your work and just get it out. And then to me, it's like then it's up to the universe, right? Because you can't control that stuff.
No, you can just do your part.
You just do your part. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
And don't get stuck on I'm sorry. And don't get stuck in thinking, hey, maybe your stuff isn't as good enough, because there's a lot of crap out there, and I'll bet a lot of those guys that made all those crap don't think that it's not good enough. You know what I'm saying? I see that with women a lot.
Enough with the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so just do it. I guess Nike.
What did I not ask you about that I should have asked you about? Where can we find MILFriend?
Right now I have a Instagram page, a Facebook page, and a YouTube page. So those are the 3 places that you could subscribe and then get updates on news.
You have a website too, don't you? With all the
Oh yes, and the website. Yeah. So bad, right? This is how
Come
good
on,
I am.
help me help you promote this.
This is how good I am promoting my website.
You need a PR person.
Yeah, and then I don't even know my website address.
I think it's milfriend.com.
It's MILFriendTV.com.
MILFriendTV. Now you know. See,
Yes.
MILFriendTV.com. All right, go see that, and I will link to it on my website.
Thank you so much.
And all
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to The Other 50%, a herstory of Hollywood. I'm Julie Harris Walker. I'd like to thank Judy Jean Kwon for sharing her story. You can see more about her series at MILFriendTV.com. That's MILFriend TV.com. And more about Judy at YoMamaRice.com. And I'll link to both of those on my website. Special thanks to Jay Rowe, Danny Rosner, and Allison McQuaid for the music. Please find us on your favorite podcast provider and leave a review. And of course, on our website, theother50%.com, all spelled out in letters, for added features, bios of our guests, and the merch. You can also follow us on all the social media platforms. And also go subscribe to catchabreakpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. See you next time.